On to Ukraine. Okay, so the Ukraine situation continues to develop. The Russians are still pushing into Ukraine. We had thought at one point that perhaps they were going to invade, take the two side. Actually, if you want to put that map up on the screen right now, we can talk about that. Yeah. So over in the far, far, far right of Ukraine, you have got, and I'm going to butcher these names, but you've got Donetsk and Luhansk. And those are on the far, far right, far eastern side. And those essentially are in rebellion. They've been in rebellion for a few years now. They have a large ethnic Russian population that wants to be Russian. It's very convenient for Vladimir Putin because he's essentially got people in the Ukraine who can act up whenever he wants them to. We thought that they might simply take that area and quit. They have kept going. They're bombing Kiev, or if you're really fancy and from Europe, Kyiv. I am neither fancy nor from Europe, despite my scarf. So we wanted to talk about just a few things that are happening right now that have caught our eyes. If you have watched coverage today, you may have heard about Snake Island, which just sounds interesting on its own. We're going to do a super quick roundup. Then we want to show you some video of Vladimir Putin. Then we're going to talk about worldview repercussions of this. But first off, Snake Island. So Grant, tell us what was going on there.
Yeah, so Snake Island, it's very small. It's only about 46 acres wide, and it's towards the Ukrainian border. It's even as small as it is, it's very important holding for them as far as maritime war access. And so it was a big deal for them. Zelensky, the president, actually had a press conference there that occurred, I think it was last year during some point. He was trying to reverse the annexation of Crimea, and he had a press conference from there, and he said, we're going to fight with all our might, I believe is the way he put it, to protect this island because it's so important. And that ended up being exactly what they did, actually. There were 13 people, Ukrainian soldiers who were there. A Russian warship came up and announced that they were a Russian warship, and they said, we want you to put down your arms and surrender so there's no bloodshed. And basically, the 13 people there told them to screw off, and that ended up being their last words.
That was the end. They were obliterated.
They were
their
then,
defiance.
I believe shot and then bombed. So it
was,
they
really were
definitely
eliminated.
were obliterated. But I just think
Russian
it's interesting
efficiency.
that, I mean, these 13 people, they certainly knew that they probably weren't going to be able to take on this warship. They're not going to be able to take on the Russian army, but they decided anyway. They said, we're going to stand in defiance of Russia to our last breath and defend the country, which I think is just, I don't know, I find that very inspiring.
And now the world is speaking about them.
Yeah.
So here you have 13 heroes of their nation deciding that they're going to reject the warning of the Russians. And now we're going to memorialize them and remember them and honor them for their amazing sacrifice at standing up against an oppressive regime.
So we were talking about this earlier today, Paul, when in the show prep meeting earlier, and we were talking about we've got some video here, and I want to warn you ahead of time. This is a little bit graphic. You may not want to watch this. What you're going to see is, I think, what may end up being the equivalent of the Tiananmen Square tank man in this century. So what happened is we've got video of a Russian tank. I hope we have video of it. I'm not seeing it come up. Do we have video of it? Hey, we have video of it. All right. So again, this is a little bit graphic. So this is straight up just a Russian tank absolutely destroying a man. As far as we can tell, man, it didn't look like it was being remotely piloted or anything vehicle. But I think when you look at that, when you think about the Snake Island guys, you see maybe kind of the reverse of what was happening in World War II. In World War II, the Russians were fighting for their homeland, and they were able to just chew up and be chewed up by the Germans because they were fighting for their homeland. Now the situation's reversed. The Ukrainians are fighting for their homeland, and you have people doing what these Snake Island people are doing. And in fact, I was looking at a headline before we came in that Russia's actually having more losses than they expected to have. And I think that's because the entire country seems to have taken up arms.
Yeah, certainly they, in their recent history, they have an understanding of what Russia can do if they envelop you and take you over, and they don't want to live under those circumstances. And these people are standing for their families and for their loved ones and for their homeland. And there's nothing wrong with being patriotic, is there?